Everyone, this is the introductory short video for the Honors Marine Atmosphere module. I'm Dr. Katie Altieri, and this will be, I'll be your main point of contact and the convener for this module. I'll be doing all the lecturing and working with you guys in the lab. And then there's also going to be a tutor, Jessica Berger, who is a PhD student of mine. He's doing some really cool research in the marine atmosphere, and she'll be assisting with the field trip and the lab-based work. Okay, so this is me. Most of you know me from lecturing in undergrad. Not all of you might, though. So my background's in chemistry and oceanography, but really the research that I conduct is in the marine atmosphere. Interested in a variety of research topics that are ongoing in my research group in varying degrees. Some focused on air pollution in coastal cities, where we leverage the Cape Point Global Atmosphere Watch Station that's going to be part of this module. Interested in the impact of human activities on surface ocean biogeochemistry, particularly the transport of air pollution offshore. Do a lot of work in the Southern Ocean, which is sort of, we consider it a fairly clean, remote marine atmosphere. And the goal of this work is to understand the atmospheric chemistry and what the ocean-atmosphere interactions were like before human interactions. I'm also the co-director of the UCT Marine Biogeochemistry Lab. This is Jess Berger, who's going to be tutoring. She's a PhD candidate. She did her BSc at UCT in marine bio and oceanography. She did her honors and master's research with Dr. Sarah Fawcett, where she was doing doing ocean biogeochemistry and nitrogen cycling. For her PhD, she switched gears and is doing more stuff on the marine atmosphere. She spent quite a bit of time in the Southern Ocean and in the Antarctic. She's also done a bunch of field work in the Benguela, so she's a great person to talk to about various types of research interests you guys might have in thinking about honors projects. So because we're doing this sort of weird combination of asynchronous online stuff and in person, I've tried really hard to make the Vula site really comprehensive. So you'll see I've used the lessons format. I'm going to go to it in a minute. But hopefully all of the information you need is on the Vula site. But of course, you can contact Jess and myself if you have, any outstanding questions or if anything isn't clear. So the first couple of days of the module are going to be sort of learning, reading, and asynchronous lectures. And then the first in-person thing we're going to do is take a field trip to the Cape Point GAW station. I'm going to split you guys into two groups of three. And the splitting of the groups is for two reasons. One, just from a COVID safety perspective, that we can maintain social distancing. The laboratory at Cape Point isn't huge. So between me, Jess, and the South African Weather Service scientists who are there and three of you, it'll start to feel full rather quickly. But also it's because I want you guys to actually collect and deploy aerosol samples. And so the first group will go on Thursday, and we'll get a tour of the station and all the different science that's happening there. And you guys will deploy an aerosol sample, and then the pumps will run overnight, and then on the next day the second group will come, and you'll of course get the same tour of the station and the science that's happening, and you'll collect the aerosol sample that's there, and then maybe deploy another one. It depends on what Jess wants to do, because she's the one who's currently doing sampling at the Cape Point GAW Tower right now. So logistically for this, I'm going to chat to Jess, but I think between me driving my car and Jess driving the departmental van, we're probably covered in terms of transportation, unless one of you guys feels strongly that you want to drive yourself. But let's just have just kind of a brief discussion about that. I'll figure out who your class rep is and get in touch with them. So you guys don't have to worry about that driving or anything. Probably we'll be there most of the day. We'll sort of leave here around 9 o'clock. It takes about an hour to get out to the station. We'll spend some time there. And then try to get back early afternoon. So it's up to you guys if you want to pack a lunch or some snacks or whatever to eat in the car on the way back. Okay. So that will be Thursday and Friday. So the other day, if you're not going to the tower, obviously you guys are only going to go one day. The other day you can get caught up on lectures and prepare for the lab work that's going to happen the next week. So I'm trying to keep things sort of not too overly intense. And I should also point out that this is the first time I'm doing this module. Usually we did a focused marine biogeochemistry module with a field trip into the Benguela. And this year it's going to be run a little bit differently. You guys will do that later in the year. Because from a COVID perspective, it's harder to do a trip where we all go away and stay in the same house and stuff. But I've been wanting to do this module for a while and decided this year was a good time to deploy it. So everything's going to be a bit new for everyone this year. Okay, so then of course, once you'll have collected the samples, that's Thursday and Friday, then the following Monday, we'll go into the lab and you guys will actually do the extractions. This is the sampler that you're going to be using at Cape Point. You'll go into the lab and do the extraction process with the filters that we collect with Jess, and then those need to sit, unfortunately or fortunately, Tuesday's a public holiday, so they'll sit for a while. And then on Wednesday and Thursday, we'll get into the lab again, and you guys will do a fluorometric analysis of the extractions to get ammonium concentrations, and you'll use, this is our IC system here in the teaching lab, you'll use those to measure major cations and anions. So the idea is that you get to experience a little bit of the type of sampling we do for atmospheric chemistry. You'll do it in an environment where we are as likely to capture pollution as we are super clean marine conditions. And then you'll get to actually see how we work with aerosol filter samples and then the various analyses methods that we do. The analytical chemistry stuff, that side of it is the same whether you're analyzing aerosols or seawater. So some of this stuff, like for example, the Holmes method, will be exactly the same once you guys do have your marine biogeochemistry field trip. The same analysis will be used to measure seawater concentrations. So a lot of this will have some overlap with what you're going to be doing later in the year. Or for those of you who pursue honors projects that are more seawater biogeochemistry than atmospheric biogeochemistry. Okay, so now I just want to quickly go to the Vula site. I haven't loaded the Vula site yet, so on the left here you can see it's still hidden, but I will open it soon. So this is what the Vula site looks like, everything's self-contained. I've set up a rough schedule. Of course, since the lectures and the pracs are asynchronous, you don't necessarily have to follow this perfectly. But it's just sort of a rough outline. I'm doing my best to finalize the lectures and get them recorded and uploaded. But if you don't see, for example, like if you don't see Wednesday's lectures if you're looking on Monday, that's probably because I haven't finished recording it yet. But I will get them uploaded at least in advance of the day that I've got listed here. Jess and I are both available to help with the pracs. You can see in the beginning, there's 2 that you guys are going to be doing remotely. I've tried to make the instructions sort of really explicit on the prac themselves, but I'm always happy to sort of give a little bit more information as needed. I've always done the analytical chemistry prac. Historically, I've done with the marine biogeochemistry module, but we've always done it in person. So just something to check on. But the way it will work is I will load the introductory videos and all the lecture videos embedded as YouTube videos. And so you should be able to, so you'll see eventually the introductory video will go here where it says introductory video. And then when you're ready to look at lecture 1, you'll click there on lecture 1 and it will take you to a sub page where in the red area here, I'll have the lecture 1 video uploaded. Likewise, if there's any readings related to a particular lecture, they'll appear in this sort of lecture sub page here. Same with the prac. So here, for example, if you go to lecture 2, the analytical chemistry practical is related to the analytical chemistry lecture. And so you can see here, these will all be self-contained. And there's some readings associated with this particular one that are useful for the analytical chemistry practical, but also useful for the ammonium and IC analysis, sort of understanding how we're going to approach generating those data and how we'll use them. And everything that is linked is hyperlinked here, but it's also in the resources. So here where it says there's a few textbook chapters, If you click on the PDF link, it'll take you directly to them. But also if you go to resources and you go to marine atmosphere, you'll be able to see them in the same place there. Yeah, so that's that. And then also the lectures and practicals down here, they're sort of in order of how things are going to happen. So I'll try to load stuff in the appropriate place so that it's fairly easy for you guys to find. Yeah, this is the point where I would say, do you have any questions? But of course, we're doing this asynchronously. And I think what probably makes the most sense is maybe Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning, I'll set up a Zoom meeting with you guys so that you have a chance, maybe Tuesday morning is actually better. So you have a chance on Monday to look through the Vula site and to take a look at this intro video and see, if you have any questions or anything like that. So I will release this soon and then use the Vula announcements to set up a little interactive Zoom